Okay, so we're here up at the filtration plant of the Gloversvile Water Works. And next to me here is Anthony Mendetta, who's the director of the entire water department, the whole system. And Andrew White is also here. He's the chief operations manager for the whole Gloversville water system. And I just want to say that one of the things that we have in Gloversville that's really superb is our water system. Anthony, you could tell us a little bit about the system itself and how you plan on expanding, the system in the future, and what you're doing now with respect to replacing pipes and all of that,
Yep.
and the grants that you've got.
Yeah, so our system is very robust, it's very big. We have the capacity of raw water of over 700 million gallons of raw water. This treatment plant here is rated to treat up to 12 million gallons of water a day. That would be if it was running for 24 hours a day. Over the course of the years, we've really tried to stay up with maintaining the system and meeting the requirements through DOH of different projects and things like that they've wanted to see us do, and just taking proactive steps to do so. We've put that new water tower up at Eagle Street, which is a 2 million gallon tank. Replaced some of the old asbestos water mains that were down on the lower end of South Kingsborough Ave through that project. We've secured a grant for $3 million to do upgrades to this treatment plant, which was built in 1939, so it's quite old, and a lot of the stuff here is original, so it definitely needs to be updated. So we're looking forward to kicking that project off. That grant was secured in 2021. We're still waiting on EFC, the Environmental Facility Corporation through New York State, to close on grant agreement, which should be fairly soon. We're already under phase 1 design for that, so we're looking forward to doing that as well. We've also been working on other distribution upgrades. So in 2017, we also received a grant through New York State Department of Health for about $600,000, and that was to replace lead line services throughout the city. We were able to do so in-house in replacing about 400 lead services with our own employees and our own people. And that funding has since, or is going to be going away in February of 2024. So what we've done moving forward for the future with that is we've submitted through the new bipartisan infrastructure bill money for lead line service replacements, and requested $7 million to replace the roughly 1,500 water services that are left in Gloversville.
So the goal is to eliminate all lead pipes?
Yes, so that is our goal. Unfortunately, we didn't put the lead pipes in back in the day. It was a common practice back in the day, but it is our goal to eliminate all the lead pipes in the city of Gloversville. That is certainly something that we would like to see done.
So the water mains are not lead, but the service lines that go into certain houses are.
Yep, so the water mains are made up of cast iron. They do have some leaded joints on the cast iron water mains. Most of them are made up of cast iron. There are some ductile iron. New practices with some of the newer projects of water mains that have gone in, they're starting to put C900 pipe, which is like a plastic material pipe, and things like that. So, So
at this point, you're probably 75% through.
Yeah, so there's roughly 6,200 service connections in Gloversville, and about 1,500 of them left are actual lead services that are supplying the houses.
Okay.
Yep.
And so it's not just lead, but a lot of other things are tested. Andrew, you actually do the testing, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So here at the treatment plant, we do our own water quality analysis. On a daily basis, we do things like alkalinity and hardness, pH, iron, chlorine residuals, turbidity levels. We also test for fluoride residuals as well, because we do feed fluoride. On top of that, though, we do have New York State Department of Health requirements that we have to do, such as the lead and copper, which is every 3 years. That was a reduced monitoring that we started doing back in 1996. We're going to have to do.
So every once in a while, you have to test for these things, that when you're on reduced monitoring, it's like every 3 years? Is that?
For lead and copper, it depends on what you are testing for. So things like disinfection byproducts, the trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids, those get tested for on a quarterly basis, so once every 3 months. TOCs, we do those monthly.
And so that's all, the Department of Health actually prescribes how often?
Yes, yeah, the Department of Health will send us a sample schedule and let you know what you need to be done. There's things like asbestos that gets done once every 9 years. A couple tests we're doing now, like I said, is a radium-228, radium-226. Those things aren't that common, and that's why you do them once every 9 years. Yeah. Unless something is found, then you will have to do additional testing if there's any, detection levels or if you're meeting any MCL levels.
Right. So, when you test for these, how exactly are these tests done? Like an every 3-year test for copper, lead, you do that every 3 years, correct?
Yeah, so we subcontract out to a lab, JH Consultants, they're out of Latham.
Okay.
He gets the same copy of that sample schedule, and he will usually send us the bottles. We will bring the bottles to the homeowners for the lead and copper, drop them off on their doorstep. There's directions on the paperwork. We ask that they fill them up in the morning or after there's a period of non-use. It's a 6-hour minimum hold time. The lead and copper, they're actually trying to look for the lead and copper, and that's why they ask for the 6 hours of non-use. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we have.
So the homeowner has to not use the water for 6 hours?
Yes, yeah, usually, after you go to bed, don't use your water. And then in the morning, that first straw, the first thing you fill up is that 1 liter sample bottle.
I see.
And that's what we send out to the lab. And that's when you're most likely going to get any lead contamination from the water sitting in the
Right, because it
pipes.
sits in the pipe.
Yeah, and there's a lot of homes that have lead solder and, leaded brass,
Leaded.
plumbing fixtures.
Yeah.
So that's where you're going to pick up most
So
of your
how many
contaminants.
homeowners do you have to get to?
30 of them for reduced
30.
monitoring, but we're going to have to do 60.
Oh, I see.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah. So you do. So you originally you do the 30.
Yes.
That's kind of the normal thing.
Yep.
And then it's up to the homeowner to fill the
Yeah, we try to contact them, either give them a phone call or send them a letter, let them know what day we're going to be out dropping off the water bottles. And then, like I said, there's directions on the bottle and hope that they can, follow those directions
Okay.
and fill the sample bottle for us. And we appreciate anybody that has done those 30 tests for us.
And in each one of those are just the people who have lead pipes going into them?
Yes, just right now, because those are tier 1 sample sites as required by New York State. Those are people whose homes are served by lead pipes.
Okay, and then recently you had an incident of something. Can you describe exactly, if either one of you describe exactly how that happened?
Yeah, so I think, obviously, like you said, with the 30 random sample sites, tier 1 sites there, the New York State Department of Health has standards and procedures that we have to meet, and that's 90th percentile. So out of those 30, you're allowed to have 3 that are elevated. Unfortunately, during the 2023 monitoring period, which was done in July of this year, we had 4, and the 4th one being that it exceeded the MCL level, which is 0.015 milligrams per liter, and that 4th sample happened to be 0.0155. So literally by rounding, we met that exceedance level, which is going to trigger us to have to do enhanced monitoring, which is what he's talking about, having to do the 120 samples next year. So it'll be 60 every 6 months that are going to have to be done.
Right.
And along with that, there's a whole bunch of procedures that, because we met the exceedance level for that, there's going to be public education documents that are going to be mailed out to all the homeowners, all water users. We have to notify all healthcare facilities and daycare facilities that there are, some residents experience exceeding the MCL level for the lead stuff.
Can you tell us what is the MCL level?
So the MCL is a maximum containment level, and that
Well, that's an
specific
action level that we met. We met in action.
an action level,
Which
right?
means that we are now required by New York State of Health to take action to look into why there were elevated levels of lead. Like I said, and like Anthony said, we were only over by one other sample site, so there were 4 out of the 30 that were elevated, which put us over the 90th percent. And that action level is 0.015, and that one is 0.0155. If you look at our other 26 samples, though, they're all well below that action level.
Okay, so the other 26.
The other 26 were well below the 0.015. Yes.
So this is not a systemic problem.
No,
This is
exactly.
a problem
Yeah.
particular to, for one
Right,
house.
and I mean, this isn't, so what I want people to take away from this is that this isn't a cause for concern. This is more to raise awareness that some residents did experience these exceedance levels of lead in their water, but it really doesn't give a good portrayal until we do more samples as to what the whole, broad-based lead services that we have left are going to generate for testing.
So the next time they test will be in the beginning of 2024, correct?
I would say sometime in March or April,
March or April?
Yep.
And that'll be 60 samples.
and that'll be 60 samples, and then the second half of the year, we'll have to do an additional 60 samples from those same 60 services. Yep.
What would be the time frame for replacing all the lead lines?
So, like I stated to you before, we were working off of that grant from 2017. All that money has been expended with about 400 services ever replaced. With the additional 1,500 roughly services, we requested the $7 million through the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed. Unfortunately, in 2023, we weren't reachable on the list for that, but I was told through the New York State EFC program that we will remain on that IUP listing, which is the intended use plan. There's a possibility that we may receive funding for 2024. They're finalizing the results for that by the end of this year, if not beginning of next year. So if we were able to secure that funding, it would probably take a couple of years. It would be a split project between our own employees here at the water department doing some and then contracting others out. So, that process would probably take a couple of years to do. But like I stated before, that is our goal here, is to completely eradicate all the lead in the city. And also something that I wanted to point out for the homeowners is that, we're going to do everything in our power to eradicate this lead line services that we have remaining in the city. But homeowners can also do their part by identifying any lead solder, lead plumbing fixtures that they might have in their houses and look at getting rid of that. Because it wasn't until 2014 that the EPA changed the standards where places were no longer allowed to sell anything that had lead in it as far as plumbing fixtures and stuff like that. So that really wasn't that long ago. So likely the majority of people in their houses in the city of Gloversville do have some sort of lead plumbing fixtures or lead solder, lead pipes inside of their houses. So, I did want to point that out, that the homeowners can do their part in trying to identify that kind of stuff. And I also wanted to point out that, if anybody is concerned about what kind of service that they might have supplying their house, they can visit our website at www.gloversvilewater.com, and they can click on the link that says service type, and you can actually type your address into that, and it'll tell you what kind of service you have that supplies your house. And if in the event that you do have a lead service, or you're concerned that you might have some sort of lead plumbing fixtures in your house, if you contact our office, we can give you the information for lead testing, which can be done through our laboratory that we use, and it's about $36 for a lead test. And that may help put some people's mind at ease about this. Unfortunately, this wasn't something that we wanted to have to experience, but it's a good chance to raise awareness of this. And if anybody has any questions, they can certainly contact Andrew or myself, and we can answer just about hopefully everything anybody has to ask. So
This is also the first time that this has ever
that's
happened.
correct.
Yes.
They've been testing for a long time, and it's always been fine, and this is the first time. It may be something anomalous to those 4 individual tests that were done.
Correct. Yeah.
Out of the 30. So you'll be getting a letter.
Yep, so every water user will get a public education document. We'll be notifying the news stations, the press with a press release about this. Also notifying, healthcare facilities, child daycare centers, welfare agency, Fulton County Public Health Department. Those are all per requirements by the New York State Department of Health. So, you know, we're gonna do what we have to do and meet the requirements that they want to see us do. And then hopefully, you know, next year when we do these other 120 samples, we can release another press release or another, you know, notice to the residents that, you know, hopefully we get some lower levels here and we can notify the public that things are going better, you know, the right way. So.
New York State Department of Health is very strict with these things because it's public health. And we want to be very compliant with all of that. And as I say again, this is not a systemic problem. Our water is, we have a superb water system, very safe water, but you know, we're open to communicating with anybody who has any concerns. And as Andrew said, and as Anthony said, if you know anybody wants, you know, to test their own water, or you know, that's a possibility as well.
Yep.
I think it should also be noted as well, if anyone is concerned, it's good practice when you're going to consume the water, is to let your water run and try to get that water from the water main. Like I said before, the way we test for lead is after a period of non-use. So if there's any lead contaminating your water, it's coming from either the lead service line coming into the house or the lead solder inside of your plumbing. So if you flush that water out, there will not be any lead in there anymore. So if you let it run until you feel like a temperature change, or if you take a shower in the morning before you consume it, or just, you know, run a load of laundry, that's going to pull the water in from the main, and that's going to flush the lead out, and it should be safe to drink that.
Thank you.